Hi, boys and girls. Good to see you again this week. We're still talking, of course, about Psalm 23. We've talked about the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. And now we're talking about how he leads me beside quiet waters. Some versions say still waters. It means the same thing. Last week, I did some exercise and I was super thirsty, and Sammy was being sweet to bring me something, but he kept bringing me the wrong things and they didn't satisfy my thirst. And that's a lot like what we tend to do. We want to be happy, we want to be content, we want to have peace, we want to have joy. And do we go to Jesus? No, not always. Sometimes we do, and then we find it. But sometimes we do other things. We go to other places or other people, and we don't find true and lasting joy and peace. That's what it means. He leads me beside the quiet waters. He is the source. He's the thing that satisfies my thirst. Not my thirst for water, but my thirst that's deeper, that hardly even has words. We all want peace, and we all try to find it different ways. And he's the one way, the truth, the life, right? The Bible tells us he's the way. He's the way for true and lasting peace. Well, today our author tells us about 3 different things that sheep do that remind him of what people do when we're searching for peace and joy and contentment. He talks about 3 ways that sheep get all the water they need. One way is that they wake up early in the morning and they go out onto the field when the sun is just coming up, and what's on the grass? Dew. D-E-W, dew. And so if the shepherd's done a good job and there's a nice green field full of luscious grass, then the sheep can just go eat that grass and they get all the dew that's on those leaves at the same time. And then when the sun has been up a while and the grass is dry, they can just rest. Their bellies are full of green grass and all that clean, pure water that was in the dew droplets, and they can just rest the rest of the day. Pretty neat, huh? Another way they get their water is what they do in more arid places, like in Africa. And there, the shepherds have dug cisterns, and they're very deep. It's like they dig out a whole room in the dirt, hard, rocky ground. And they dig ramps going all the way down to the bottom of that cistern. And the sheep and the people can walk along those ramps down to the bottom. And at the bottom is where there's water coming straight out of the ground. And so there's not all the dust and dirt and parasites mixed in. Sheep don't always like to go down all those ramps, but the shepherd will lead them. And when they get to the bottom, the shepherd stand in that water and they start scooping it out in buckets and putting it in troughs so the sheep can drink cold, clean water. And that reminds our author, and it reminds me too, of how sometimes finding Jesus and joy and the contentment that he gives is not easy. Sometimes we have to do hard things because that's what Jesus wants for us, and he knows what's best. It's kind of like how sometimes we have to wear a mask. We don't like wearing masks very much, but we wear a mask, we get to go to school and be with our friends. And I don't know about your church, but at my church, we have to wear a mask when we're inside. But when we wear a mask, we get to go be with Jesus and worship Jesus. So it's worth it. It's a little tiny thing that's not super comfortable and not super fun, but we get a great reward. And there are lots of much bigger struggles in life. And if you haven't had them yet, you will. And if you struggle, sometimes it's not comfortable. But when you struggle according to what Jesus leads you to do, you'll find peace. True and lasting peace. The still waters. The third way sheep get water is in mountain streams. And mountain streams are special because do you know where that water comes from? Some of it comes from springs under the ground, and some of it comes from the snow melt. So it's cold and crystal clear and pure and clean. While sometimes a shepherd might take his sheep wandering through the mountains to get to one of those streams, and all along the way, from all the melting snow might be some muddy puddles. Well, the sheep are walking and walking. They're getting hot and tired. So they might stop for a minute to lap up some of the water from one of those puddles. Those puddles are muddy and they're full of parasites, and that's gross. If they could just wait and be patient, they'll get to the clear, crystal cold, wonderful snow melt and spring-fed waters. They need to trust their shepherd. And boys and girls, we do too. It's hard to be patient. Who knows what God has planned for you in your future? Who knows what your life will look like? God does. Our good shepherd knows. We need to follow him and be patient and wait and see. Taste and see that the Lord is good. He's leading you along quiet waters. Rest in him, boys and girls. Get up early and pray and read the Bible. It's like munching on that dewy grass. It'll feed your soul. Work hard, boys and girls. Do the hard things because God is there in the hard things, and you'll be fed in a way you didn't expect, like those sheep going down into that cistern. Be patient, boys and girls, while you work and while you pray and while you read and while you learn. Wait to see what the Lord will do, and it will be good. Have a great week, boys and girls. Go with the still, quiet waters of Jesus. Trust him. He is good all the time.